Hi people, Murinuri Humbug here again. In this video, as the header suggests, I'll be discussing the topic of education and how practical it is to enroll or to finish up an advanced educational course or acquire a degree, which is highly impractical. I'm gonna dive head first. So yeah, let's get down to it. There's a classical saying, go to school, get good grades. Yeah, I think most people remember it, especially people that were born in the 80s like me and so on. Study hard, get good grades, get a good education, and then you'll be able to get a good job and you'll make a lot of money. Okay, a good. I think even up to this day, people tend to say it. I don't even know what to say, but usually it comes from the ignorant. Although I do hear it significantly less nowadays. But in any case, up to 30 years ago, you hear that constantly. That as long as you study hard, there's some kind of stupid delusional unjust notion that if you study hard. By the way, this is in reference to my video of yesterday, the practicality of working, not just working hard, but working smart. Okay, one should work smart, not just hard. In any case, people have said that, as in if you work hard, you get good grades, you go to school, you study, then you'll get somewhere in life. As in, you'll get a good job because of your college degree, for example, etc., etc., etc. And I think at least a few people have caught up to the fact or have caught on to the fact that it's bullshit. Especially in the US, for example, this topic is known as the American dream. Okay, Americans are also taught that if you get a college degree or a college level education, and you simply finish your master's or your bachelor degree, then your future is pretty much ensured. You'll automatically get a job such as a doctor, an MD, you name it. It just goes on. You'll automatically get a job that pays what, 6 figures a year or similar. Bullshit, obviously. It's absolutely not true. In reality, that is not the case. No. In reality, most people have caught on to this, or at the very least, a few people. At the very least, a few people have caught on to this. But for those that aren't aware of this, don't delude yourself. It's the case globally, more or less. Okay. I don't know if really back in the day, maybe half a century ago, that was the case. I think so, but things were completely different back then globally. But nowadays, in any case, things are different again. The world has changed a lot, and nowadays, make no mistake, just having an education is definitely not enough to get you anywhere. Having an education is definitely not enough to get you anywhere in life. You won't get anywhere, you won't be able to do a single thing, okay, in term just by educational standards alone. I mean, I'm sorry, something stuck in my teeth. So yeah, you need to be able to, like I said in reference to my previous video, you need to be able to know exactly where you're headed, down which career path you're headed, and what is best for you, and what do you like the most. Because make no mistake, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any educational standard or degree whatsoever, but let's just say an intermediary educational level, such as finishing high school, is already more than enough. Okay, I personally, just simple example, I came to this realization. That's why I never went to college. I've seen people that have gone to college, people that I knew in high school, and these people are literally doing at the they. This was back when I still worked Monday jobs. They did the same things that I did, either that or they they did jobs, or they had to make do with jobs that were even lesser than what they had to make do with jobs that were even lesser than what I did back in the day. Simple example, my educational level is that I am a high school dropout. My country, the country I live in, not my country, but yeah, the country I live in, high schools are separated in junior and senior high school, and they total 7 years. Junior high school consists of 4 years, and senior high school of 3 years. And some senior high schools consist of 2 years, but it's harder because 3 years worth of educational knowledge is all crammed into 2 years. So it's extra hard because you have a lot more knowledge to ingest. And I made it all the way to senior high school. This was back in the time when I was still heavily plagued by occult related problems in relation to my life story, etc. I'm not going to get into all of that. Most people that know me can do so. The other people that have no idea what I'm talking about, just wait until the end screen, and you can watch a short video on my life story, if you will. Bottom line is that I already had pretty much the weight of the world on my shoulders, and for that reason, that wasn't the only reason, but for that reason, I had tremendous difficulty getting through high school. Um, Senior high school, I think I went to 3 or 4 senior high schools, separate high schools. That's how bad it was. No, not literally. I went to 2 senior high schools, but it took me, I think, at least 6 years to get over those 2 senior high schools. I'm not kidding. We're talking about people that actually were 3 or 4 classes behind me, actually managed to catch up to me. That's how bad of a mental state I was in, to the point where I couldn't even study, I couldn't do anything. I was completely paralyzed mentally. But yeah, in any case, I simply, even in that state, I still had the clarity of mind to say to myself, I'm not going to study. I remember sitting next to 2 guys, 2 boys, and I sat next to them and I just had an epiphany. And I was like, I'm not going to attend school anymore. I'm just going to drop out and look for a job and build work experience while I look for a suitable career path or a suited career path. This is a waste of time. That's literally how I reacted. And they just looked at me and they were like, okay, you need to find work then, and so on. I was like, yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm that serious. I just had that realization because I told them it was a waste of time. I've seen people go to college and they have to make do with jobs as a gas station attendant, basic administrative desk duty, desk clerk, you name it, office clerk, blah, 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 bank employee. Nothing special, nothing short of mundane to a little above mundane. And yeah, you can attribute that to several sources, I mean, commercial and industrial corruption, political corruption, you name it. That's just one example that definitely plays a huge part. But in general, nowadays, it's highly impractical to actually study continuously and get as many degrees as possible, because that will not land you a job. Make no mistake about it. So this is just general information that I'm passing by people, I'm running by people. This isn't so much occult information, okay? This is just general life advice and life information to whom it interests, okay? Don't make the mistake of studying. I personally, after I dropped out, I went to look for a job, and that's how I got started in the security line of work. My very first job was as a base station operator. Um, that's like a 911 deal. I talked about it in my previous video. Um, and after a couple of years, I had like 4 years of work experience under my belt. I went as a means of compensating for the fact that I was a senior high school dropout. I didn't have a diploma. I did attend high school, but that's as far as I got. I went to take business/administrative courses just as a means of compensating, like I said, for my dropoutness, and to spice up my resume and to add more weight to my resume, of course, alongside the work experience. So yeah, I did very well doing so, even for myself. But that's also when I noticed that none of it matters anything. Okay, that that's because it doesn't matter any. Seriously, that it mattered only a little. Work experience was the only thing I noticed that employers had took an interest in or two. But for the rest, they don't care about getting qualified people. They only care about cheap labor, and that is it. And it all depends which country you live in, what location you're in, and whatnot. Okay, bottom line is, the shithole that I live in for the time being is hopelessly corrupt. Corruption ratio is over 80%. So again, it does not matter. You're not getting your due. It doesn't matter how qualified you are, you can be overqualified. I was literally overqualified for jobs, and yet I had to make do with these jobs because no company would be willing to give me what I am due, what I deserve. Okay, I remember having managers openly tell me that, nah, to be honest, you're overqualified for the job. Um and nevertheless, they still told me that if I'm willing to start at the bottom, then they're willing to give me a shot. And some of these jobs I turned down. It all depended on where I was in life. And if a job was beneath me, especially income wise, then I told them, no, never mind them. But yeah, that's the point. And of course, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you had, for example, women that slept with the boss or spread their legs for the boss, and these women they were semi illiterate, and yet they were department heads, department managers. So yeah, that's definitely something that plays a part. But not to drift off topic, but again, the message that I'm sending is clear. Okay, make no mistake. Don't make the mistake of studying hard or of thinking that if you study hard and if you get as many degrees as possible, that will automatically secure your future and throw as much money at it as possible by working part-time jobs as an adolescent or as a teenager even. No, 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 no. Actually be smart about it and think about what you want to do for the rest of your life career-wise, what you can turn into a career, and actually focus on that, as in, hey, this is what I'm going to do for a living. Okay, just acquire an intermediary or average educational level. Okay, as I said, like I said, college dropout would be fine, finishing high school is fine, but I would not suggest, regardless of where you live, to continue after high school. No, just finish high school and then let that be the end of it, and then specialize yourself in whatever thing interests you as a craft, as something that you can do for the rest of your life and you can make as much money with as possible, something that you can make at least a decent living in or with. And then gain work experience. It doesn't matter whether you have to start at the bottom, and make sure that you gain everything, okay, in documentation. Make sure that you get everything in writing. That's what I did. I have literally written proof of every company I've worked for. So all of my work experience, all of my educational documents from exam results to diplomas and certificates, yeah, name it, everything, the whole shebang. But yeah, as you can see, it didn't do me a lot of good, of course, but still, it's about being punctual. Not everyone, not everyone, of course, that's the understatement of the century, to be honest, can be an occultist like me. So yeah, if you have to make do with a mundane job, then yeah, just specialize yourself with work experience and just keep going, and do whatever it takes to get ahead career-wise in your chosen profession or your chosen field of career expertise, according to your own moral compass and the standards that you set for yourself, as in how far you'll go to accomplish something. I'm not judging anyone that is willing to succumb to corruption or is willing to sleep with the boss or do anything underhandedly in order to get ahead. I'm not even going to bother with that. You need to know for yourself. If you have no standards, morally speaking, then that's your problem. But I have my standards, and I choose death over my standards. I choose my standards. I'd rather die alongside the street, to put it that way, than actually break my moral and honor code. In any case, that is it, and that's simply something to keep in mind. And keep in mind, regardless of where you live, you also need to analyze the country you live in briefly, or your direct environment, as in what's the corrupt ratio. Do you stand a legitimate chance of getting a good job simply based on your educational level? If that's the case, then by all means go for it. That's an exceptional case. Ignore what I said then, so to speak. But about the part not studying further ahead and whatnot. But in general, nah, it does not apply. I know for a fact, okay, that this is the case globally. So yeah, the best thing seriously to do is to simply choose a career path early on in life and study towards that vehemently. And once you've done so, just gain an above average or an average level of education, and then it's over. Just gain as much work experience and as much knowledge, certified knowledge on your profession as possible. And that is it. And in a decade or so, you must, depending on who you are, you must have built a decent career for yourself. But regardless, bottom line is that you won't starve to death. But I'm seeing a lot of people struggle with this, okay? They study, they drive themselves nuts by trying to accomplish passing every exam and getting every degree, college degree they can possibly have, just so that they can walk around parading themselves around as having a certain title, as in I'm a bachelor, professional degree, blah 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 blah, and it means nothing. It doesn't mean jack shit, okay, in terms of practical application in society, because you won't be able to find a job, and then you're stuck with student loan debts, you name it, and you're stuck with debts altogether, okay. You'll end up having spent so much money or working part-time jobs for a few years just to pay off your student loan debts or whatever educational debts you have. In my location, for example, university students are supposed to either buy their own books for topics, as ridiculous as it sounds, it's true, or related. I remember that. Local college in my location is of such a nature that they have a shortage. Yeah, because the country is beyond worthless, so they don't even have books, as in enough books to accommodate students. So students basically have to. It's their problem. That's what they tell you. It's your problem. See if you can find a fellow student that you can work with, or if you can put money together just to study ahead, or if you can do whatever the hell you need to do. But bottom line is that it's your problem. You need to find the book itself, or whether you order it from abroad. And make no mistake, these are not cheap books. So yeah, this is this this also equates student loan debt. Imagine having spent thousands of dollars on college, or on acquiring, or doing everything it takes to acquire a college degree. And even then, you have to study your ass off for it, okay? Because it's not guaranteed if you already spent all of that money. Bottom line is that you went through all of the troubles, all of the trials and tribulations of studying and acquiring your college degree, and then you go to look for work, and you 9 out of 10 places where you go to basically tell you that you'll have to make do with starting at the bottom. And of course, you reject it because you're of the opinion that it's beneath you, because you're a college degree, you've got a master's degree, blah blah blah, or a bachelor's degree. And believe me, it means nothing in reality, in the world nowadays, practically speaking. And only if you're lucky will you come across one job where there's actually placement. But like I said, the majority of employers globally only care about two things: cheap labor. So they'd much rather choose some kind of student that they can push through some kind of cheap course that's only a week long, and that has no experience prior to whatever it is that the company does, or what services or products it offers. That's point one. And point two, they care about those that have work experience. If you have work experience, then they're more inclined to hire you, but even then, they're going to be hesitant in terms of paying you out. Okay? They'd rather choose a newcomer than someone that has experience, work-related experience, because they're simply greedy. They go over the top in terms of trying to save up as much money as possible or cut down on expenses. They literally go over the top. Okay, it's all quantity and no quality with pretty much the biggest companies nowadays. But in any case, yeah, the message is clear. Okay, don't lose years of your life and time and energy and effort by just studying like an imbecile. No, studying away like an imbecile and just shooting shots and taking a shot in the dark and so on. No, just actually know from an early age, as a teenager or as an adolescent, a young adult, what you want to do for the rest of your life career-wise, and simply focus on that. Get an average educational level, or get an average level of education, as in finish up high school and then you're done, or even middle school, you name it, and then focus on acquiring certified knowledge in your line of work, as well as work experience. End of story. And that's the best option career-wise for the majority of people, and that's the best advice I can give you. You won't get anywhere else if you just can study continuously. Exceptions included, of course. If you're one of the lucky ones, then you knock yourself out. But the majority isn't like that. The majority is not lucky. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Bye.